The 1950s were the golden age of flying saucers, bug-eyed monsters, and paranoid scientists. You didn't need a giant budget to scare the daylights out of people. Just a dark theater, eerie music, and the promise that the aliens were already here. So grab your popcorn and get ready, because here are 10 of the best and most forgotten 1950s sci-fi horror movies that deserve another look. Fantasy, sci-fi, horror, rerun zone. Number 10, The Brain from Planet Arous, 1957. This film really lives up to its title. A glowing alien brain named Gore invades Earth and takes control of scientist Steve March. Under Gore's influence, March gains terrifying powers, superhuman strength, telepathy, even the ability to blow up planes mid-flight. But those powers come with a sinister cost. Gore wants nothing less than world domination. The concept is outrageous, but the execution is surprisingly intense. Lead actor John Agar leans into the possession scenes, giving them an unsettling, manic energy. Modern viewers often note the strange sexual undertones, the alien brain using its host's body for its own desires, making this one of the more adult-tinged sci-fi flicks of the decade. Shot quickly and cheaply, the film's floating papier-mâché brain effect may draw laughs today, but the core idea is still creepy. Losing control of your mind and body to something alien. For drive-in audiences in 1957, it was a wild ride, equal parts ridiculous and chilling. Over the years, The Brain from Planet Arous has earned cult status, proving that even the most ridiculous premises can leave a lasting mark on sci-fi horror history. Number 9, Attack of the Crab Monsters, 1957. Roger Corman had a knack for turning outrageous titles into box office gold, and Attack of the Crab Monsters might be the best example. A group of scientists and Navy personnel arrive on a remote Pacific island to study the effects of nuclear testing, only to find the land literally crumbling beneath their feet and giant mutated crabs waiting to pick them off. These aren't ordinary crabs either. They consume human beings and absorb their minds, which means they can speak in the voices of their victims. That eerie twist gave the film a creepiness beyond its papier-mâché monsters. Imagine hearing your friend's voice calling out from the claws of a giant crab. Corman wastes no time. Characters die early and often, keeping it fast-paced across its lean 62-minute runtime. The effects are cheap, but the bizarre concept and relentless tension made it a drive-in favorite. Behind the scenes, Corman admitted the title came first, and the story second. He knew Attack of the Crab Monsters was too good to ignore on a marquee. The gamble worked, and the film became one of his most profitable features and a prime slice of 1950s sci-fi pulp. Number 8, The She Creature, 1956. Produced by American International Pictures, The She Creature blended sci-fi and gothic horror with a hypnotic twist. The story follows Dr. Lombardi, a shady hypnotist who uses regression to take his assistant Andrea back to a prehistoric past life. Trouble is, that past self manifests as a hulking reptilian sea monster that rises from the surf whenever Andrea is put under a trance. Designed by special effects artist Paul Blaisdell, the She Creature costume was one of the most striking monsters of the decade, so memorable in fact that AIP recycled it in later films. The fog-drenched California beach locations had a moody atmosphere, giving the monster's appearances an almost supernatural edge. The film mixes melodrama with monster mayhem, and while the pacing slows during its dialogue-heavy middle, the payoff is the creature itself. Towering, snarling, and oddly tragic, it stands as a symbol of humanity's darker primal instincts. Drive-ins ate it up, and Blaisdell's monster became iconic in fan magazines. While not as polished as the studio horror films of Universal's heyday, the She Creature proved AIP knew how to hook teens with atmosphere, monsters, and just enough pseudoscience to sell the spectacle. Before the next movie, if you like these trips down memory lane, please hit that subscribe button or consider becoming a channel member. It keeps this passion project going strong and means the world to me. Thanks. And now, back to the show. Number 7. Not of This Earth, 1957. Roger Corman may have been the king of cheap, but he really knew how to stretch a dollar. Not of This Earth is one of his crown jewels. Shot in just 9 days with a budget of $100,000, it tells the story of an alien named Paul Johnson, who wears dark sunglasses, speaks in a monotone, and has a nasty craving for human blood. He's basically Dracula in a hat, sent from a dying planet to scout Earth as a potential blood farm. What makes the movie work isn't flashy effects, it's the unsettling performance of Paul Birch as Johnson. He's polite, almost gentle, but there's something chilling about his blank stare and emotionless voice. Corman plays it straight, and that sincerity makes the absurd premise believable. Beverly Garland, who played the nurse caught in Johnson's plot, later joked that she signed on expecting a serious film, only to realize halfway through that it was anything but. And the ending? It was pure Corman. Fast, brutal, and no happy resolution. Drive-ins loved it, and it became one of Corman's most successful films. Number 6. The Day the World Ended, 1955. Another Roger Corman entry, and one of his earliest trips into apocalyptic sci-fi, The Day the World Ended imagines the aftermath of nuclear war. A handful of survivors take shelter in a canyon home owned by Jim Madison, who believes the natural rock walls will shield them from radiation. Alongside his daughter Louise and other stragglers, they struggle with dwindling supplies, suspicion, and the knowledge that the outside world has been reduced to ashes. But the bombs left something else behind, a radiation-mutated creature roaming the wastelands. Played by effects artist Paul Blaisdell in one of his first monster suits, the mutant has horns, claws, and a grotesque, almost human face, meant to suggest a man twisted by fallout. Though the monster only appears briefly, its presence hangs over the film like a shadow. Shot in less than 2 weeks on a $96,000 budget, Corman relied on tight sets, tense dialogue, and clever atmosphere to make the story work. The tagline promised 300 years after the bomb, only a handful of humans will survive. But the audiences, they didn't care about accuracy. They came for the thrills. The film delivered a blend of claustrophobia and atomic age dread, establishing Corman's gift for apocalyptic storytelling. Number 5. Kronos, 1957. Where most 1950s aliens came in saucers, Kronos arrived as a colossal machine. After strange signals from space, scientists at a desert observatory witness a massive, energy-absorbing robot crash to Earth. Towering like a mechanical skyscraper, Kronos lumbers across the landscape, draining power plants and cities in its path. What sets this film apart is its forward-thinking concept. Instead of bug-eyed monsters, the threat is technology itself, an alien supercomputer programmed to strip planets of their energy. The alien invader isn't flesh and blood, it's a machine, mindless and unstoppable. The design? A cube, perched on piston-like legs. Looks bizarre, yet strangely memorable. Miniatures and optical effects give the machine weight, even if the budget was modest. Lead actor Jeff Morrow plays Dr. Leslie Gaskell, the scientist racing against time to stop the energy-hungry giant. The climax involves turning humanity's atomic weapons against Kronos, flipping the atomic age anxiety of the era on its head. The special effects were surprisingly ambitious for a film with a modest budget. The miniature work and rear projection gave audiences a credible world-ending threat, and Kronos gained a reputation as one of the decade's smarter sci-fi B pictures. Number 4. It Came from Outer Space, 1953. Based on a story by Ray Bradbury, It Came from Outer Space took a more thoughtful approach than most 1950s alien flicks. After a meteor crashes in the Arizona desert, amateur astronomer John Putnam discovers it's actually a spaceship. The aliens inside aren't bent on conquest, they just need to repair their ship. To do that, they have to impersonate humans, terrifying the local town. The film leaned heavily into 3D gimmicks, with meteors and aliens flying at the audience. The question remained, are the aliens really a threat, or are they just misunderstood? That question set it apart in a decade when most extraterrestrials were metaphors for Cold War enemies. Universal insisted on a more frightening alien design over Bradbury's objections, but the eerie, bug-eyed creature worked well enough to satisfy audiences. Combined with desert landscapes and moody cinematography, the film struck a balance between wonder and anxiety. Released at the height of UFO mania, it was both a box office success and a rare sci-fi film with a touch of compassion. In a decade of paranoia, It Came from Outer Space dared to suggest the strangers among us might not be our enemies. Number 3. I Married a Monster from Outer Space, 1958. Don't be fooled by its soap opera title. I Married a Monster from Outer Space is one of the decade's most effective small-scale sci-fi horror films. Newlywed Marge Bradley begins to suspect her husband Bill is not himself. He's cold, emotionless, and hides away at night. She eventually learns the truth. Bill has been replaced by an alien, one of many invaders infiltrating her town to breed with human women and save their dying race. The film builds tension slowly, with shadowy lighting and an eerie atmosphere. The alien effects, distorted, grotesque faces briefly glimpsed under the human guise, are simple yet chilling. Unlike many 1950s B-movies, this one never plays its premise for camp. Instead, it leads into themes of mistrust, marital anxiety, and the fear that the person closest to you might be a stranger. Critics dismissed it at release, but it's gained cult status over the years. Fans now see it as a companion to Invasion of the Body Snatchers, a story about identity, conformity, and paranoia, all wrapped in drive-in thrills. Atmospheric, unsettling, and surprisingly well acted, it's a standout from the decade's sci-fi horror boom. Number 2. The Man from Planet X, 1951. Set on a foggy Scottish moors, The Man from Planet X is pure spooky atmosphere. A mysterious spaceship from a dying world lands near the observatory of Professor Elliot, where American reporter John Lawrence is visiting. Inside is a humanoid alien with a glass-domed helmet and a haunting blank face. At first, they try to communicate, but to no avail. The professor's crooked colleague, Dr. Mears, steps in and tries to force the alien to tell the secrets about the ship's mysterious metals that he thinks will make him millions. In one of the film's darker moments, Mears shuts off the creature's breathing apparatus and leaves it for dead. But the alien survives, and he begins to abduct villagers, including the professor's daughter. It's soon revealed that the visitor's real mission is an invasion from its dying world. The film went into production in December of 1950 in Culver City, California, and wrapped in just 6 days. To save money, the director used the leftover sets from the 1948 film Joan of Arc, covering them in artificial fog to create the eerie atmosphere. That combination gave The Man from Planet X its dreamlike quality. Watch this one at night, and that blank alien face will haunt your dreams. Number 1. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1956. Few films have captured 1950s paranoia like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. In a small California town, Dr. Miles Bennell discovers people are being replaced by emotionless duplicates grown from seed pods. At first, he doubts the wild claims of his patients, but he soon witnesses the chilling transformation firsthand. What makes this film so unsettling is its simplicity. No ray guns or monsters, just neighbors, friends, and loved ones who suddenly aren't themselves anymore. McCarthy's desperate energy sells the horror, culminating in his desperate roadside warning.
They're here already! You're next! You're next! You're next!
That moment became one of the defining images of Cold War era cinema. Audiences and critics saw similarities everywhere. Some read it as anti-communist propaganda, a warning about infiltration and conformity. Others viewed it as a critique of McCarthyism, the loss of individuality to fear and suspicion. Director Don Siegel never confirmed either interpretation, which only added to its impact. Though the studio tacked on a last-minute hopeful ending, the film's bleakness still shines through. More than 60 years later, the pod people remain a haunting metaphor for what happens when society sacrifices its humanity to fear. These 10 films show just how varied 1950s sci-fi horror could be. From the paranoia of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, to the pulpy weirdness of the brain from Planet Arous, and the mutant menace of The Day the World Ended, they tapped into Cold War fears, nuclear anxieties, and the eternal question of whether humanity could survive its own creations. Which one gave you the most chills back in the day? Or which one do you want me to dig deeper into for a future deep dive? Let me know in the comments. I'll keep an eye out for your favorite. And if you want to see more videos about 1950s sci-fi movies, check out this link at the end. This is Rich from Rerun Zone wishing you a good night.